What if I told you that some of Hollywood's toughest action heroes were battling secret demons the cameras never caught? Behind the explosions, the muscle, and the larger-than-life roles were men who fought a very different war once the director yelled, "Cut!" In a world where looking strong was everything, these stars turned to the bottle just to survive the pressure, the fame, and the crushing loneliness. Here are 25 action icons whose off-screen struggles with alcohol were the real battles that almost cost them everything. Number 25. Richard Burton. Richard Burton gave us thunderous performances and had that famous romance with Elizabeth Taylor. But few knew he started his days with vodka instead of coffee. At his worst, Burton drank 2 to 3 bottles daily. He once claimed he felt more normal after 2 bottles than when sober. Directors had to write scenes where he could sit or lie down because he was too unsteady to stand. His powerful voice masked a man drowning in alcohol. Number 24. Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed didn't just drink, he set records. Once he downed 126 pints of beer in just 24 hours. His wild, drunken behavior became as famous as his acting. Reed's drinking contests were legendary in Hollywood circles. He rarely showed up sober to interviews or talk shows. Despite his talent on screen, his reputation was dominated by bar fights and outrageous antics. His heavy drinking ultimately cut his career and life short, dying during the filming of Gladiator. Number 23. Peter O'Toole. Those piercing blue eyes in Lawrence of Arabia hide a secret. Peter O'Toole was often drunk during filming. He admitted alcohol helped him through scenes that terrified him. O'Toole firmly believed drinking made him a better performer, giving him courage and intensity. His drinking buddies included some of Hollywood's most notorious partiers. After nearly drinking himself to death, doctors warned him to stop. He had surgery but returned to drinking years later. His talent was immense, but alcohol nearly destroyed him. Number 22. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford ruled Hollywood with an iron will and presented a perfect public image. As the face of Pepsi, she maintained a professional appearance. But insiders knew about her ever-present stash of gin and champagne. At parties, rumors spread about her mixing gin with Pepsi when cameras weren't looking. Her drinking increased as she aged, becoming a daily routine. Even on set, her coffee cups often contained something stronger. Despite her addiction, Crawford maintained her legendary work ethic until the end. Number 21. W.C. Fields. Born above a bar, W.C. Fields seemed destined for a life with alcohol. He carried flasks of gin martinis everywhere, calling them his lemonade. During Prohibition, fear gripped him. What if he couldn't get alcohol? His solution was to hide thousands of bottles throughout his home. Fields made drinking part of his comedy, but the reality wasn't funny. He drank heavily until his final days, his red nose and slurred speech becoming part of his trademark persona. Number 20. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy won 2 Oscars while hiding a serious drinking problem. His binges were legendary: violent outbursts, bar fights, and even waking up in jail cells. Between films, Tracy would disappear on drinking sprees for days. Katharine Hepburn often had to search bars to find him. On screen, he projected strength and moral authority. Off screen, he was falling apart. Tracy somehow maintained his performance quality despite his addiction, hiding his struggles behind that famous stoic expression. Number 19. Frank Sinatra. The original functioning alcoholic, Frank Sinatra rarely appeared without his signature glass of Jack Daniels. He reportedly drank a bottle daily but still performed flawlessly night after night. Sinatra considered alcohol his performance enhancer, claiming it loosened his vocal cords. His Rat Pack friends joined him in legendary drinking sessions that lasted days. Despite his heavy drinking, Sinatra maintained his career for decades. His tolerance was so high that friends were amazed he could still stand after numerous drinks. Number 18. Dean Martin. Dean Martin blurred the line between his drunk stage persona and reality. His famous line, "You're not drunk if you can lie on the floor without holding on," wasn't just a joke. That glass in his hand during performances really contained alcohol. While some claim he watered down his drinks later in life, Martin's drinking was very real in his early years. The image worked so well for his career that he maintained it even when sober. Audiences never knew which Dean they were seeing, the drunk character or the actual drunk. Number 17. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum's tough guy image wasn't just for the cameras. His heavy drinking matched his macho persona perfectly. Mitchum often showed up to set already buzzed, shooting scenes while intoxicated. His 1948 marijuana arrest shocked America, but insiders weren't surprised. Mitchum's substance use was well known in Hollywood circles. Despite his habits, directors hired him repeatedly for his reliable performances and box office draw. Mitchum himself joked about his reputation, saying he had only one rule: never do anything sober that you wouldn't do drunk. Number 16. Richard Harris. Richard Harris drank so heavily that he was once banned from every hotel in London. His drinking buddies told stories of week-long benders and destroyed hotel rooms. Harris famously said he'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. When filming Camelot, he often needed help standing during scenes. Despite his addiction, Harris delivered powerful performances throughout his career. In later years, he finally achieved sobriety but never regretted his wild days. His drinking tales remain legendary in Hollywood history. Number 15. Michael Landon. Michael Landon portrayed wholesome characters in Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie, but those coffee mugs he carried on set often contained whiskey or vodka. Landon hid his addiction remarkably well. Even close co-stars were shocked when they discovered his drinking. His all-American image made his alcoholism even more surprising to fans. Despite his drinking, Landon maintained a demanding work schedule as an actor, writer, and director. His addiction remained mostly private until late in his career. Number 14. Orson Welles. Orson Welles once claimed cocktails balanced out his liver. The genius behind Citizen Kane matched his enormous talent with equally enormous drinking habits. Welles was rarely seen without alcohol, often consuming wine throughout the day. As his weight increased, so did his drinking. Studio executives worried about his habits, but couldn't deny his brilliance. Welles's later career struggles were partly due to his reputation for excessive drinking on set. Yet he remained sharp-witted and eloquent despite decades of heavy alcohol consumption. Number 13. John Barrymore. John Barrymore, the original acting dynasty patriarch, began drinking at just 14 years old. His Hollywood exploits with the Bundy Drive gang became industry legend. Fellow actors were amazed at his ability to perform brilliantly while completely intoxicated. Barrymore's binges lasted days, sometimes delaying production. Yet when cameras rolled, he delivered perfect performances. His handsome face eventually showed the effects of decades of drinking. Despite multiple attempts at sobriety, Barrymore never conquered his addiction, dying from complications related to alcoholism. Number 12. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn swashbuckled on screen and partied wildly off it. He founded Hollywood's original party crowd, drinking from morning until night. Flynn's yacht became notorious for drunken parties with young actresses. His devil-may-care attitude extended to his drinking habits. He once claimed he tried sobriety, but didn't like it. Flynn's alcohol abuse affected his performances in later years, with directors scheduling important scenes early in the day. Despite his addiction, women still found him irresistible, fueling his bad boy legend. Number 11. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead shocked even her hard-partying peers with her drinking habits. Her witty comebacks and wild parties were fueled by endless bourbon. Bankhead drank heavily throughout her career, often arriving on set visibly intoxicated. Her gravelly voice became partly due to her drinking and smoking habits. Despite her addiction, Bankhead maintained her sharp wit until her final days. She refused to apologize for her lifestyle, once declaring, "I'm as pure as the driven slush." Her drinking was as legendary as her personality. Number 10. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift's drinking intensified after a devastating car accident left him in constant pain. His perfect face was damaged, and alcohol became his relief. Clift would drink heavily between takes, somehow pulling himself together when cameras rolled. Directors watched in amazement as he transformed from incoherent to brilliant with action calls. His friendship with Elizabeth Taylor included legendary drinking sessions. Despite his alcoholism, Clift delivered some of cinema's most sensitive performances. His drinking eventually contributed to his early death at 45. Number 9. Herman J. Mankiewicz. The genius behind Citizen Kane wrote some of Hollywood's best scripts while completely drunk. Herman Mankiewicz kept alcohol hidden throughout studio offices. During the writing of Citizen Kane, he was kept under lock and key to limit his drinking. Mankiewicz joked about his condition, saying, "There's millions to be made in the movies. All you need is an idea and a drink." Despite his addiction, his writing remained brilliant. Studio heads tolerated his behavior because of his remarkable talent. Number 8. John Huston. Director and actor John Huston was rarely seen without a drink in hand. He directed classics like The Maltese Falcon while maintaining a legendary alcohol intake. Huston's hard-living reputation followed him to every set. He expected the cast and crew to keep up with his drinking, creating notoriously wild film productions. Despite his habits, Huston delivered masterpieces and worked until his final years. His drinking adventures in Ireland and Mexico became Hollywood legend. Huston claimed alcohol enhanced his creativity and vision as a filmmaker. Number 7. Cary Grant. Behind Cary Grant's charming smile and perfect comedic timing was a man who drank heavily to manage his anxiety. While maintaining a sophisticated public image, Grant often relied on alcohol before social events. His drinking remained mostly private, hidden behind that debonair persona. Grant eventually experimented with LSD therapy to address his psychological issues and drinking. Unlike many stars, he successfully reduced his alcohol consumption in later years. His private struggles contrasted sharply with his seemingly effortless on-screen confidence. Number 6. Leonard Nimoy. The logical Mr. Spock dealt with fame through very human means: alcohol. Leonard Nimoy turned to drinking to cope with the pressure of becoming an overnight sensation. His alcoholism remained hidden from Star Trek fans for years. Between scenes, Nimoy often drank to calm his nerves. The famous Vulcan salute was sometimes performed by a shaking hand steadied by alcohol. Nimoy eventually sought help and achieved sobriety, later speaking openly about his struggles to help others fighting addiction. Number 5. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor's violet eyes witnessed and participated in legendary drinking sessions. Her tumultuous relationship with Richard Burton featured matching bottles of vodka. Taylor's drinking increased during difficult periods in her life, becoming a coping mechanism for pain. Despite multiple health issues, she continued drinking heavily for years. Taylor eventually sought treatment, becoming one of the first celebrities to publicly acknowledge her alcoholism. Her openness about addiction helped reduce stigma in Hollywood, even as she occasionally relapsed throughout her life. Number 4. Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn portrayed larger-than-life characters while living equally large off-screen. His drinking sessions were as epic as his performances. Quinn drank heavily throughout international film productions, often hosting parties that lasted until dawn. Despite his alcohol consumption, he maintained a prolific career spanning decades. Quinn's Mediterranean background made wine a daily ritual that gradually increased over time. Directors learned to work around his drinking habits, scheduling important scenes when he was most likely to be sober. Number 3. William Holden. William Holden's golden boy looks masked as a man struggling with alcoholism. His drinking contributed directly to his tragic death. He fell while intoxicated, hitting his head fatally. Throughout his career, Holden's charm helped hide his growing dependence on alcohol. Co-stars noticed his drinking but rarely mentioned it publicly. As his addiction worsened, his handsome face showed the effects. Despite his struggles, Holden delivered powerful performances even in his later years. His death became a cautionary tale in Hollywood about the dangers of alcohol. Number 2. Bela Lugosi. The original Dracula turned to alcohol and drugs as his career declined. Bela Lugosi's thick accent limited his roles, leading to typecasting and diminishing opportunities. As better parts disappeared, his drinking increased. Lugosi found himself in low-budget films while battling a serious addiction. His haunting eyes that once terrified audiences became bloodshot from constant drinking. Despite his struggles, Lugosi maintained his dignity and professionalism whenever possible. His addiction battles continued until his death, with the actor being buried in his famous Dracula cape. Number 1. Judy Garland. While Judy Garland is more famous for pill addiction, alcohol played a major role in her struggles. She mixed drinks with medications, creating a dangerous cocktail that affected her performance. Garland's drinking began early. MGM executives supplied her with substances to maintain her grueling schedule. By her 30s, she was drinking heavily to manage her anxiety and insomnia. Despite her addictions, her talent remained undeniable. Her tragic story revealed the dark side of Hollywood's golden age, where stars were used up and discarded. These legends defined Hollywood's golden era, but their real battles happened when cameras stopped rolling. Their drinking affected their work, relationships, and lives. Many died young because of alcohol. Next time you watch their classic films, look closely. Behind those heroic acts and romantic scenes were real people fighting demons. Hollywood tried to hide these stories, but the truth always finds its way into the light. These weren't just actors, they were survivors, performing brilliantly despite their struggles. Crazy to think that behind all the gunfire, car chases, and knockout punches, so many of these action legends were quietly fighting their own battles with the bottle. It makes you wonder how many more stories are still hidden behind those tough guy smiles. If you want to uncover even more shocking secrets about the stars you thought you knew, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because the next revelation might just blow your mind.